He was running straight toward me. And for a second, I truly thought he was a thief. I told the driver, "Go, just go." I was shaking, terrified. When I stepped into the airport, that's when I realized I made a mistake. My wallet was on top of the car. That man, by now, he must have taken all my money. My boarding pass, my ID, everything was in there. I didn't know if I should scream, cry, or just disappear. And in the end, I married that man.
This was one of the surprising stories someone told us right here at the beauty salon. So leave your like and let's get started.
That day, I had no idea a simple mistake would completely change the course of my next few hours, and maybe even my life. The day started in a rush, like someone had hit the fast-forward button on the remote control of my life. The morning air was cold enough to give me goosebumps, but my mind was burning with mental checklists, schedules, and worries. There I was, trying to balance a large suitcase, a smaller one, my purse on my shoulder, my wallet in one hand, and my phone in the other. A breathless juggler trying to keep it all together. "Good morning," the driver said with a quick smile as he grabbed the larger suitcase in one swift motion and placed it in the trunk. "Good morning, and thank you," I replied, trying to keep my balance as the smaller suitcase nearly slipped from my hand. I pushed the smaller suitcase into the back seat and sat down, but before I fully got in with my hands full, I set my wallet on top of the car, just for a second. A second that, later, I would realize was long enough to change everything. The car started rolling slowly, and the streets began to slide by outside the window. The driver, friendly, started making small talk. "Traveling for business or pleasure?" "Pleasure, or at least I hope so," I replied with a half-laugh that tried to hide my exhaustion. "Well, the airport's going to be a mess today. There's a big game in town, people flying in from everywhere." I just nodded, but my mind was elsewhere, thinking about my destination, what I had left behind, the messages I still needed to answer. The ride felt shorter than it should have. Before I knew it, we were pulling into the drop-off area. The driver parked, opened the trunk, and handed me my larger suitcase. I paid the fare, thanked him quickly, and headed into the terminal without looking back. It was at the check-in counter that everything started to fall apart. I reached into my purse for my documents, and the world stopped. My fingers touched lipstick, perfume, wet wipes, a phone charger, but not my wallet. A sudden heat flushed through my face. My heart started pounding. I began tearing through everything. First my purse, then the small suitcase, then the pockets of my pants. Nothing. I glanced at the floor around me as if it might magically appear there. The woman at the counter raised her eyebrows at me. "Is everything all right, ma'am?" I think I lost my wallet," I said, my own voice sounding distant, almost unrecognizable. And then, like a bolt of lightning, the memory hit me. The wallet had been left on top of the car while I was arranging my bag right before I closed the taxi door. It was like watching a movie in reverse, each second taking me back to the exact moment I'd made the mistake. And with that thought pounding in my head, I kept telling myself, "No, there's no way I did that. There's no way." On the same street, right in front of my house, where it had all started, I remember seeing a man crossing the sidewalk. From a distance, I noticed him spot the taxi parked there, watching me adjust my bags. When I saw him pick up his pace towards us, I felt a jolt of fear that he might be a thief. I got into the car quickly and told the driver to go. I saw him run and wave his arms towards us, but the car pulled away before he could do anything. Remembering that moment in the middle of my panic, I dumped all my anger and blame onto that man. My mistake of leaving the wallet on top of the car had certainly been because of the fear I'd felt. I was convinced that by the time he reached where the car had been, the wallet had already fallen, and that he must have picked it up. By now, he was probably spending all my money and swiping my credit cards. God, I was furious, and the worst part? I couldn't even remember his face. Back at the airport, my hands were shaking. I didn't know whether to take a deep breath or drown in my own panic. While I was deciding between crying, praying, canceling my trip, or calling someone, I saw a person walking briskly towards me. I was so distraught that all I could see was a silhouette coming from the direction of the golden light pouring through the massive windows. As he got closer, I could see him more clearly. A decent-looking man, probably in his 40s, with a pleasant scent, slightly out of breath, holding something tightly, the way you'd hold something you knew was precious to someone else. And then I saw it. That red object in his hands was my wallet. "I think this belongs to you," he said with a slight smile, extending his arm. In that moment, I almost collapsed. I realized he was the same man who had run towards the taxi outside my house. I was speechless. All I could do was hug him, a tight, almost desperate hug, filled with relief, gratitude, and guilt. "How did you find me?" I asked, still trembling. "I saw the wallet on top of the car. I ran to warn you, but couldn't catch up. Then I thought, she must be going to the airport, so I called a rideshare and came straight here." Tears were streaming down my face freely now. I felt so guilty for having thought badly of him that, without hesitation, I opened my wallet ready to offer him some kind of reward, at least to cover the cost of coming all the way here to return it. "Please take this." He stepped back, raising his hand to stop me. "No, there's no need. I didn't do this for money. Doing good is already my reward. Goodness has a magic to it. When we give from the heart, we awaken in others the natural desire to give back. Simple gestures create chains of kindness that overflow and multiply for all of us." Then he reached into his pocket and handed me a business card. "If you ever need anything, and I can help again, you can always count on me." I held the card as if it were a precious key. I had never met someone with such generosity and selflessness in my life. At that moment, the loudspeaker announced my flight, snapping me back to reality. I apologized and had to rush to the counter. I made the check-in at the last minute and finally took a breath, trying to process everything that just happened. At the boarding gate, I looked around. I walked through the terminal, searching for that man, that angel in human form, but I couldn't find him anywhere. I boarded the plane with my wallet and all my belongings. The sun was setting, painting the sky gold, and I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. I held my wallet tightly in my lap, and between my fingers, that card. And I realized something far more valuable than money or documents: the certainty that there are still people who give without expecting anything in return, who offer the purest things they have, their time, their care, their light, to brighten the path of someone they meet. And somehow I felt the universe had just given me a lesson and a clear sign that something magical had happened at that moment. When I returned home, I reached out to him, and we started talking. And we never stopped. Today, 2 years later, that man who crossed the city to bring me back my wallet actually stole something else: my heart. Now we're married, living well, very well, and happy.
So that's it, folks. Sometimes life puts us in situations like Mary Rose's just to show us that even a mistake can open doors we never imagined. Every story carries a lesson, and yours could be next. Share it in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, and let's keep discovering together the power of a good story.